welcome to the Big Ten National Wellness Action Collaborative. We're so excited you're joining us, and we've got awesome speakers today. So please take it away.
I would like to introduce to everyone Dr. Brenda Buffington. She is Executive Director of Health Athlete and Assistant Professor in Practice at Ohio State University College of Nursing. And her presentation today is titled Energy for Extraordinary Living, One Day at a Time. So welcome, Brenda Buffington.
Thank you, Dr. Alice Teal. Thank you, Bern. I'm just really honored to be here, and I have gotten to join in on the webinars previous to this. Wonderful content, wonderful presenters. And I just want to ask you to, kind of open your mind a bit here. So I'm going to speak to you, as Alice mentioned, about energy, actually energy management, which might be kind of an intriguing new thing that you've thought about. We talk about time management all the time, right? So this idea of energy for extraordinary living. This is a program that is called Health Athlete. Much of the material I'll be using today comes from our Health Athlete program. This is a program that Bern Melnick brought here to the Ohio State University campus in collaboration with Johnson & Johnson's Human Performance Institute. And you'll see some slides carrying some of that about corporate athlete, which they now call performance, but we then changed it and we're able to call it health athlete. So I ask you to open your mind, to be curious, and to have an experimental outlook to what could be. What could be? This may be a paradigm shift for you, as it was for me when I first got into this energy management, right? Not only time management, but time is finite. We can work on increasing the amount of energy we have and increasing the way that we focus our energy. So I'd like to start by asking you to share with us in the chat. And if someone, Alice or someone would like to say those, I won't have to flip back and forth. But here's my question. The best thing that happened this past week was? So please go ahead and put in the chat something that happened that might not have been grandiose, but for me, it would be spring is coming, right? The weather is turning. Woohoo! For us here in Ohio, it's turning for beautiful weather. I have sun shining and nearly 60 degrees today. So go ahead and chat. What's the best thing that's happened? Let's see if we have any.
I love it, Brenda. I'm saying connecting with old friends, and I see witch hazel blooming, and we flip the calendar to March, and someone got an article accepted for publication, and lots of people are enjoying the outside and the sunshine. So love it. Absolutely. Seeing grandchildren.
Love it. Continue to put some in as we move on to the next thing. I just really wanted to start on a positive note right there, where everybody's smiling now, probably. And now also, I'd like to help you to bring yourself to this moment. What we like to say, to this heartbeat, to this breath. And by doing so, I'd invite you to just take a moment of quiet, a mindfulness moment. Go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Maybe just lower your gaze. But we're just going to breathe. Studies have told us that 5 deep breaths can decrease our stress, decrease our heart rate, our blood pressure, our cortisol levels. Right? So simply breathe in and out. And as you do so, this next time, I'd like for you to just breathe in and as you are exhaling, relax your facial muscles. Relax your jaw, your cheeks. Maybe on this next breath, relax your shoulders. Just let your shoulders drop. Relax your arms and your hands. And on this next breath, I'd like for you to notice how your hips and your thighs feel against maybe the cushion, maybe your chair. If you're standing, how your feet feel against the floor, in your shoes, maybe bare feet. And one final breath. Breathe in and out. Very nice. Go ahead and open your eyes and raise your gaze up to the screen. And I welcome you home to the present. Welcome home. Isn't that nice? You are where you need to be right now. There's nowhere else you need to be. You're here. So let's move on with this thought of energy, right? How about this energy? Well, let's talk about some of the challenges. I'd like to ask you this one. What is your biggest energy challenge? And in the chat, go ahead and put some of your energy challenges for us. What are the things and maybe people that suck energy from you and from your life? Go ahead and share a couple of those. I just want to get a sense of the room, the pulse of the room here.
Maybe Brenda, they're having a hard time seeing the chat, so they can also put them in the Q&A.
Beautiful. Great.
They're saying things about anxiety about the war, getting enough uninterrupted sleep, sitting at the computer all day, work-life balance, a little bit tough right now.
Yes. Okay. And it's a very common humanity, isn't it? A lot of us are feeling those exact things. Maybe you have some things, all of those, and then some that are distracting you from focus. Maybe you're trying to do certain work, to prepare for courses you teach or meetings coming up, even being with loved ones. So distractions. So let me just share with you kind of an interesting, nice little video, but see if this seems familiar to you.
Really? It's time.
Oh my. Yeah. Did that get your attention? So I'd like for you to think about some of the distractions. You've mentioned some pretty serious things. Maybe you have some things that are just a lot of email or your phone or social media, different things that maybe come into play. So with that in mind, we're going to now move to the other side. What if you had more energy? What would you do with more energy? So once again, in the chat, and Alice, if you wouldn't mind, or in the Q&A, go ahead and write down what you would do with more energy. What would you do if you had enough energy to get you through the day, so your time didn't run out and you had plenty of energy? What would you do? Maybe that you aren't doing now.
Let's see, spend more time with my grandchildren, take the time to oil paint, read a book, walk, do yoga, listen more, organize my house. Sorry, I can relate to that. Exercise with my dogs more, work out, cook more often, learn another language, work on crafts.
Oh, geez. Alice, thank you. Hey, go ahead and keep writing. I do want to keep us moving, though, because why I'm asking you to share all of this is I'm going to challenge you by the end of this time that we're together to make one small change in one of the dimensions that we're going to talk about. You've brought this up. What if I had more energy? What would I do? So how could I get that more energy to be able to do all those wonderful things you've just mentioned, and then some more in your chat? So that's what we're going to talk about next. This is part, as you see, of corporate athlete. We call it health athlete here at OSU. through the Human Performance Institute of Johnson & Johnson. So let me just briefly give you an understanding of their model. And many of us use dimensions of wellness, don't we? This case is foundational, physical, right? So physically energized. That's where we get our quantity, isn't it? That's the idea of, how do we fuel our body? How do we recover? How do we sleep, nap, relax, recover from something, another dimension maybe, or another stressor? And then also how we move our body. I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes once you get up and move around, you actually have more energy, more focusability. And then we move up to emotional. And it's kind of like as you are an infant, you develop, you need fuel. So you get fed and you get changed and you sleep. That's about all. And then as we mature, we go up into the emotionally connected portion or the quality of our life, right? Emotional intelligence, right? We talk about regulating our emotions. So we're not good at that at first. And then we become better, don't we? And then we go to school, maybe. And then we learn with mental dimension or mentally focused, we begin to learn and have the capacity to do so, to be able to critically think, to speak clearly, understand others. And then we develop up to the very top, most of us, and not all of us, but spiritually aligned, right? So spiritually, in this case, we're talking about your value system, your priorities in life, your big P purpose, right? Your why, your big why. Why do you wake up and get out of bed in the morning? To do something. Okay. So with those in mind, I'm going to give you a little bit of some ideas for your one small change. Perhaps it's in the energy dimension, right? We talk about physical energy dimension. So the quantity, be able to get that energy that we need for all the other dimensions. So we're going to suggest, how about nutrition? So fueling your body. These are all evidence-based CDC, NIH, highly studied areas. And these are for general population too. Just want to give that. But the idea of eating light, eating often, is phenomenal. Many of you know, we have a certain blood glucose level. And gosh, if we could keep it nice and steady throughout the day, we wouldn't go hypo or hyperglycemic. And that'd be wonderful for many reasons, right? So the suggestion is that within an hour of waking, eat something. So it could be a snack or it can be your breakfast. And then a couple of hours later, so every 2 to 3 hours, and going no more than 4 hours without getting sustenance, without getting calories, fuel for our body, right? And the idea is if we would do that, so breakfast, a couple hours later, a snack, a couple hours later, our lunch, and then a snack between that and dinner, and then perhaps a snack before we go to bed, within an hour or two, right? So the idea is that we are always going to have a nice level blood glucose. The next one would be recovery. And we generally call that sleep. It can be naps and it can be, resting, but 7 to 9 hours, highly recommended per night for adults. Then we go on to movement, right? Moving your body. Well, we can stretch. So we know that flexibility is important, keeping our range of motion for all of our joints. So we can move well into old age. And maybe even just doing right now, like circling your wrists and moving your head away from the screen and your eyes away, circling your feet at your ankles. Small movements. Larger movements, standing up, sitting down. If you're standing, maybe marching in place, walking in place. We can regain some energy by just doing all of these things in some ways. So this might be your small change. Let's go to the next one up that pyramid. That was the emotional energy or that quality, the connectability, right? This idea of attitude of gratitude. And I know Byrne has spoken often about vitamin G. I just love that. Vitamin G, gratitude. There's a lot of science behind this too. A lot of research telling us that by doing this, by recognizing what we are thankful for, can do wonders, huge wonders for our optimism, our positivity, and therefore even our health, both physically and emotionally, right? So I'd like to challenge you right now to simply think about it or write down 1 to 3 people or things for which you are thankful. You're most thankful for, you're grateful for. So go ahead and do that right now. Go ahead and write that down. And I'd love to hear some of those. You can use names if you'd like, but know that, it's not going anywhere from here. But in the chat, if you put some of those, give us some ideas of who or what you're thankful for. Go ahead, or in the question. Oftentimes health, right? Loved ones.
So we're seeing thankful for a beautiful place to live, family, my husband, family, especially my spouse, family systems therapy.
Oh,
my wonderful husband, housing, peace, pets, faith community, kids.
It just feels good writing that. It feels good hearing that, Alice. Thank you. I would suggest that if this is your challenge for after we finish, try 1 to 3 things or people every day for the next 30 days and just see. It's that experimental mindset, right? You try different foods, right? We try different things like this. So I would recommend this. Okay, so let's continue to move. Now we're going to make our way into just a bit out of, but still within emotional, but into mental dimension as well. What about this it? Sometimes we have to name it. Sometimes our self-talk isn't always that positive. And I just think you might enjoy this representation of maybe reframing it.
Strike 1. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike 2. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike 3. I'm the greatest pitcher in the world. Optimism. Pass it on.
I love that. I can just see your face. If I could see your faces, many people, once he swings, you think, oh, it's going out of the park, right? And no, it doesn't. So he could be very put out, couldn't he? And say, oh, I'm not very good or whatever. But no, he found a way to reframe it. My gosh, I just struck myself out. I must be the best pitcher in the world. Right? So let me ask you that. Maybe this hits you as it did me. It's been a few years ago now, but it has changed my life incredibly. This idea of self-talk, negative to positive self-talk. In Health Athlete, we call this the inner critic to the inner ally, right? Sometimes we speak to ourselves in such a way we'd never speak to others in public, to people we, want to be friends with. Oftentimes we don't. So I'm just going to challenge you with this one. Possibly you have some negative self-talk, a statement or two that kind of grind at you because we listen to ourselves all day long. And that's usually the person we listen to the most, right? Maybe you're saying something like this. In that negative statement column, it says, the only way I can meet the demands of my job is to work longer and harder. Maybe we switch that around to, I can work hard and be productive without working longer hours, which will preserve my health and personal relationships and energy. So here are some others. I'd like to challenge you to think about these. Please take some time to read these. And I'm going to just give you a little story about the very first one. I found changing one word in a sentence made all the difference in the world. And it happened to be a time several years back when I visited Cuba. I was in Cuba, went there and saw that, not everyone got to go to school. Not everyone had wonderful tennis shoes and great equipment to play sports. And I came back to the United States and realized how great we have it here. And my 2 sons were a little younger then. They're now in their late 20s and 30. And one of them said to me the next day, oh, do we have to go to school? Do we have to? Oh, and I looked at him and said, no, you don't have to. You get to, my son. You get to. And so then I started to use that in many things, like, I don't have to wash the dishes. I actually get to. I get to wash dishes. And it just made me feel very grateful for the things I had, that I started to feel like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. No, just reframing it, using one word differently, right? I get to wash my dishes. I get to have dishes, right? I get to have food that dirties my dishes. I get to have soap that I can wash my dishes. And maybe you just need to add the word yet to some of the things that you say to yourself. I'm not good at that yet. So a sign of hope. So maybe one of those would be your one small change, one thing you'd change in the way you speak to yourself. Let's move to the mental dimension now, mental energy and the idea of being focused with that energy. So mindfulness meditation, we did a brief one as we just began, just to get ourselves here now in this moment, right? So we do know that science has told us this one too, with consistent practice of this idea of mindfulness meditation, it can lead to all these wonderful physiological changes. Absolutely. And those make sense to many of us in this room, in this call. So I'd like to give us a moment to experience a little longer mindfulness meditation right now. So I'd like to invite you to participate simply by getting comfortable in your chair. Maybe you're standing, just comfortably settle yourself. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that as well, or just soften your gaze and sort of unfocus your gaze, maybe look down. And take a deep breath. And imagine a moment of full engagement. You were your best self. Maybe it was in the past, or maybe more present. Fully engaged, your best self. Imagine this moment in detail. Who is with you? Where are you? What are you doing? What sounds do you hear? What do you smell? What about this moment makes it special to you? We're just going to take a moment, just a beat, to be silent and just sit here quietly. And when you are ready, take one more deep breath. And open your eyes. You can do this anywhere, anytime. Many people use this to transition from things. When you finish your workday, sit quietly, transition from work to home life. Okay, that might be your one small change. Let's move up to the very top of the pyramid now. Much of this I'm going to give you to think about for the next several hours later on today, maybe this weekend. The spiritual energy, or that force, that thing, the purpose, the value that is at the very top, that is your North Star. Looking at these different words here, I'd like for you to just choose 1, 2, maybe 3 words that are non-negotiables for you. Non-negotiable. That is me. I will do this. I will always be this. So 1 or 2 are going to pop out at you. Just sort of jump a hold of those. And this is the way we're going to start to define your purpose. It'll get you started. You'll need to spend more time on your own, but choose a few of those words, okay? You'll get to see this. We have this recording, of course, and you can see this. Maybe take a photo of this. even with your phone now, as well as the next slide, because you're going to want to refer to these later and give it more time in your brain. Okay. And the next slide brings us even closer to this idea of purpose, your why in life, right? Who or what matters most to you? How would you define success in your life? What impact do you want to have on others? How would you want people to describe you? What makes your life really worth living? In other words, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you passionate about? And finally, then, what is your purpose? Just briefly, easily like this, here's mine. My purpose is to help others live more fully engaged lives to become their best self. I will leave this world a better place than when I arrived, and that life is an adventure. Plain and simple like that. So once again, you may want to take a picture of this and look at these questions later. But here's an example of someone's why. A 102-year-old Okinawan gentleman. He got up every morning because it was so important for him to share his martial arts knowledge to the next generation. Ultimately important. Research informs us that those who know their purpose in life and live it can increase their longevity by 7 years. This research speculates that, a sense of purpose may help a person better manage stress, make healthier decisions, and encourages a more active lifestyle. And as Mark Twain says, a lot of you have probably heard this, but the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. So here we are back at the pyramid. And I've already explained the left side, how we develop, right? But to become extraordinary, we live from the top down, like it says on the right side. We become extraordinary by knowing our purpose and then letting that purpose dictate all of our decisions. Then those decisions become much easier. You know when to say yes and no to things, right? If it's in line with the way you feel, the things you want to learn, the people you want to be around, like-minded folks, the things you want to eat and drink, how much sleep and how important that is to you, how you move your body. That's how you become extraordinary. But once again, it definitely takes one day at a time. It can't happen all at one time. So one small change. And this is just one of my favorite quotes. It helps to remind me to live outside of my comfort zone at times, right? A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. So move away from the harbor. Go out and explore, experiment with things. Try this one small change. Something that you're going to decide upon today. And here's just a little guidance for you, right? So my one small change, I will, and fill that out sometime. Maybe today, maybe it's tomorrow. My accountability partner is. We know it increases success if we have someone with which we can share this and help to support us. There's an idea of what a SMART goal might look like. And then sign it and date it. Okay. I'd like to finish with just showing you a little bit about where we got this information and sending you to our Health Athlete webpage. It is healthathlete.osu.edu. And we'd love to welcome any and all of you to come and experience a little longer than 30 minutes of Health Athlete. But there is no cost to OSU faculty and staff and students take this course. We have an online course, but we do give discounts to OSU affiliates. So those in this webinar right now, we would like to extend an affiliate to you. So please just reach out through our webpage and we can answer some questions for you, give you some understanding of when. So we have our next 7-week series. It's a virtual, it's a synchronous though course that we have, goes through from April through June. We have 1-day workshops coming up, one in March and one in April. And then we have special 2-day executive and manager workshops, June, October, and December. And finally, just for your information as well, many of us, I know I am, always looking for CEs or continuing education opportunities. We have been approved by these groups. So CNEs, so nurses, RNs, and MPs, certified public health folks, CHES folks, certified health education specialists, and veterinarians, so DVMs. like to just come back to you now and see if I can talk about any of the questions you might have, if we have any questions. I know we've got to be really close on time, and I thank you so much for being here. And it's been my honor and my privilege to share the past 30 minutes of your life with you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.